Every village has its secrets, but ours was hidden in a steaming cup of tea. They called it a blessing, sweet, creamy, unlike anything they had ever tasted before. Children craved it. Farmers refused to work without it. Even the chief himself swore it gave him new life. But what if I told you it was not just tea they were drinking? What if inside every cup there was something far darker, something no one could resist? The cock crowed, smoke rose from clay kitchens, bare feet drummed the red earth as children chased each other. Women's laughter mingled with the sound of pounding yam. But in the corner of the square, one girl sat apart. Her name was Nnenna. She was small for her 16 years, with sharp bones pressing against her skin. As though hunger had carved her, her wrapper was faded, her blouse stitched too many times to count. When she passed, women pulled their children close. Whispers followed her like flies on meat. That girl again. Her blood brings death. She is cursed. Nnenna had no one. Her mother carved herself to the grave one wet season. Her father had been buried long before. Her two brothers had wasted away, their cries echoing in her ears still. One by one, death swallowed everyone around her, everyone but her. And so the village gave her a name, Daughter of the Grave. But Nnenna carried a secret no one saw. When night covered the village and the stars opened their eyes, she met Chike, the first son of the elders. His laughter was rich like palm wine, his arms strong as the river's flow. With him, Nnenna felt human again. With him, the whispers faded. He told her she was not cursed. He promised he would stand by her, and she believed. One night under the moon's pale light, Nnenna could not hold her heart anymore. She held Chike's hands and whispered, "Take me as yours. Let me walk beside you in daylight, not just in shadows. They say I am cursed, but with you I will be safe." But Chike's smile thinned. His eyes turned hard. "You? A ragged orphan? I am the son of Umuocha's pride. You are not my equal. What we share was never made to say the son." The words pierced Nnenna deeper than any spear. She pulled her hands away. Her body shook as tears carved rivers down her face. That night, she wept until her chest ached, her sobs lost in the hum of the crickets. 3 days later, the wailing began. Chike had fallen without warning, his body twisted. Heat poured from his skin. His breath broke in ragged gaps. Before sunset, he was gone. The drums of mourning thundered. The women tore their wrappers in grief. The men bowed their heads. But as tears fell, all eyes turned. Nnenna. She asked for his hand. He refused. Now he lies in the ground. It is her, the cursed one. Before her lips could form a word, rough hands dragged her from the corner. Stones cracked against her back. Voices rose, sharp as knives. "Witch, evil child, bury her with him." They beat her until her blood marked the sand. Then they dragged her to the edge of the great swamp, spitting on her, striking her with sticks. "Go," they shouted. "If your cursed feet ever touch the soil again, we will burn you alive." Nnenna stumbled into the swamp forest, her body broken, her eyes empty. She vanished among the trees, swallowed by the buzzing of incense and the shadows of tall palms. That was the last time the people of Umuocha thought they would ever see her. Time moved like a river. Seasons blend into one another. Children were born. Mothers bent with age. Men grew gray. The chief who had ruled then was buried, and another wore the title. The name Nnenna faded. as though she had never existed. But in the swamp, the girl did not die. She learned, she waited, she handled like iron in fire, and after 20 years, she was ready. The morning her shadow touched the village again. The sky was still pale, the moon slipping into clouds. The first rooster had just crowed. Smoke curled from a few clay kitchens. Sleeping men stretched their arms, ready to lift their hose. Then came a sound. Crack, crack, crack. A wooden cart rolled slowly into the center of Umuocha. Pushing it was a woman dressed in fine wrappers, her head tied with a dark scarf, her back bent as though burdened by years. But her eyes, sharp, steady, unblinking, called through the mist. On the cart rested a huge steaming pot, cups stacked neatly, baskets brimming with golden bread. Her voice rose, clear and calm, gliding over the waking village like a song carried by wind. Come, come, hearty, sweet bread, come taste my morning gift. At first, they only stared. A stranger, they thought, who is she? Where is she from? No one remembered the face beneath the scarf. 20 years was enough to erase a name, to bury memory. But the smell was too much. Sweet, heavy, warm. A tired farmer was the first to step forward. He dropped a coin into her wooden bowl, and she poured a thick steaming drink into his cup. He sipped. His eyes widened. His lips trembled. Then he sighed. Ah, this is good. This is very good. A hunter passing by stopped for bread. Children tugged at their mother's wrappers. Mama, please, let us taste. One by one they gathered. She poured. She served. Her voice never stopped, calling through the square like smoke. Hearty, sweet bread, strength for your body, joy for your spirit. The villagers laughed as they ate. The tea warmed them from belly to bone. The bread melted on their tongues like honey. The tired women strengthened their backs. The weary men felt lighter, younger. The children ran faster, their feet beating the ground like drums. By noon, the whole village was talking. Have you tasted the stranger's tea? It gives life. Her bread is sweeter than sugar cane. The next morning, she returned. The line was longer. The third morning, it stretched across the square. By the end of the week, not one man, woman, or child began the day without her. The farmers refused to touch their farms until they drank. The market women swore the tea gave them power to shout louder, to sell faster. Even the chief himself sent his son with a bag of cowries to fetch a pot every dawn. But no one knew who she was. No one asked. And her eyes, sharp and unblinking, watched them drink. The stranger became the new morning bell of Umuocha. Every dawn her voice rang out in the square, steady as the cock's crow. Hot tea, hot bread, come and taste your morning miracle. Hot tea, sweet bread. No one knew that the woman with the cat was Nnenna, the orphan girl they once spat on, the cursed child they had once dragged into the bush and beaten until her body bled. The girl they had sworn would never return. Her scars were hidden beneath her fine scarf. Her voice was softer now, her smile sharper, and every morning as the villagers licked crumbs from their lips and sighed in pleasure, Nnenna's eyes gleamed with a secret. For inside that steaming pot, mixed with milk and sugar, was something far more than tea, something she had carried out of the forest long ago. The cart soon grew too small. Her apron overflowed with coins. Within months, a shop stood in the heart of the village. painted bright yellow, the smell of milk and bread calling from its doorway. At its center was Nnenna, serving with a smile that never reached her eyes. Life in Umuocha changed. Once, people began their days with plain water or empty stomachs. Farmers went to the fields weary. Market women dragged their feet. Children walked to school coughing. But now, no one could begin without Nnenna's tea. Each dawn, smoke rose from her big kettle, the smell of sweet bread and boiling milk filling the air before the sun climbed. Her chat never stopped. Hot tea, hot bread, come, hot tea, sweet bread. And the people swore her tea was no ordinary drink. The farmer, who always complained of aching nails, returned from his field, boasting he had worked like a youth. The barren woman, who had cried for years, swore her belly felt alive again. Children who once lay sickly and thin ran through the square, laughing with red cheeks after sipping her tea. The traders at the market said their voices grew louder, their customers more eager. Even the old chief, whose breath was rattled like a broken drum, drank from her hands every morning, swearing that his chest felt young again. It seemed Nnenna was no curse, but a blessing, a miracle in a cup. The people laughed louder, they ate fuller, their days seemed brighter, and still, every morning they light up again. But behind Nnenna's soft smile hid a darkness only she knew. For when the villagers had driven her into the forest 20 years before, she had wandered until her feet bled, her belly hollow. One night, under a thin, sharp moon, she stumbled into a clearing. There, beside a crooked iroko tree, a fire burned without wood, and by the fire sat an old woman with bent back and white hair. Her eyes glowed, faint red in the dark. Nnenna froze. She had heard the tales, spirits of the deep bush, witches that whispered between trees. The woman smiled, her teeth black as charcoal. So they cast you out, child of sorrow. Nnenna's lips trembled. How do you know me? The old woman pointed into the air as though tracing invisible ways. The forest hears all, the cries of the beaten, the curses of the dying, the tears of those left behind. The forest has heard you too. Nnenna's body shook. They said I killed the elder's son, but I did not. I swear I did not. The woman's smile widened, and her voice caught like wind. And yet you wished him gone. You wished all of them to taste the pain they gave you. Nnenna lowered her head. Her voice cracked. Yes. The old woman leaned forward, her breath thick, with the smell of earth and ashes. Then listen well. The world does not reward the weak. If you want them to need you, to love you, to kneel before you, you must give them something they cannot resist. What? Nnenna whispered. The crone pulled a small leather pouch from her wrapper. From it, she poured a pinch of grey powder that looked like crushed bone. Food alone fills the belly, she said softly. But if you want their souls, you must mix sweetness with death. Stir ashes into milk. Let flesh melt into sugar. Then they will drink you, and they will never stop. Nnenna stared at the dust in her hands. This is from the dead. The woman's eyes burned brighter. Yes, from graves, from the forgotten. Death has its own power. Feed it to them, and their blood will crave you forever. Her hands trembled as she accepted the pouch. And that night, under the knife-thin moon, she made her choice. From that moment on, every dawn, before wheeling her kettle into the square, Nnenna sprinkled a pinch of the grey dust into her tea. The villagers never knew, They only tasted sugar and milk. They thought it was kindness that made her bread soft, but inside their blood, her secret burned. Soon, no one in Umuocha could last a day without her tea. Children wept if they left for school without it. Farmers cursed the morning until they had their cup. Women quarreled with husbands who missed the evening portion. And Nnenna, behind her sweet smile, watched. Those who tried to stay away from the tea soon returned, trembling. Their hands throbbed, their stomachs twisted, their hands shook. They crawled back to Nnenna, begging for just one sip, and she gave it, smiling, her voice never changing. Hot tea, hot bread, come and drink your morning blessing. The village of Umuocha had become hers. Every man, woman, and child bowed to her steaming pot. They praised her, they called her a blessing. But Nnenna knew the truth. It was not blessing they drank. It was their chains, hidden in sweetness. Before Nnenna returned, a woman named Ifeoma had owned a small bakery. Children once loved her bread, and women bought it on their way to market. But the moment Nnenna arrived with her tea and bread, Ifeoma's shop grew empty. Her loaves rotted on the shelves. Every coin in Umuocha flowed into Nnenna's hands. Bitter and broken, Ifeoma sat each evening outside her bakery, watching the crowd gather at Nnenna's door. "What is so special about her tea?" she muttered. "Why not mine?" One night, unable to bear the hunger of jealousy, she followed, wrapped in a dark cloth. She trailed Nnenna's shadow into the forest. The moon was thin, the night sharp. Ifeoma froze when she saw her. Nnenna was kneeling by a shallow grave, pulling bones and scraps of clothes from the soil, her lips whispering words no ear should hear. Calm, steady, she tied the bones in a sack and rose. Ifeoma pressed against a tree, her heart hammering. God, is this what she feeds us? She followed, silent, back to the village. Through a crack in the wall of Nnenna's back room, she watched as the sack opened. Bones spilled across the table. Nnenna took a small stone grinder. Her arms strong, her face calm. Crack after crack echoed as she ground the bones into fine grey dust. When all was powder, she lifted it gently and poured it into the great pot of milk and sugar. Her whisper drifted into the night. "Drink, my children, drink and belong to me." The stench of grave rose with the steam. Ifeoma's breath caught. She fled into the night with a scrap of grave cloth clutched in her hand. At dawn, while the villagers lined for their tea, Ifeoma stormed to the palace. Her wrapper was loose, her eyes wide. She fell at the feet of the Igwe, King Okenwa. "My king," she cried, her voice breaking, "we are drinking death." Gasp filled the hall as she told everything, how Nnenna dug up graves, ground bones, and filled the village with the dust of the dead. She lifted the cloth in her hand, trembling. "This is proof, my king. If you value Umuocha, stop her." The Igwe narrowed his eyes. "Or is this your jealousy speaking, Ifeoma? Your bakery is empty, and you envy her gift." But he waved his hand. "Send a guard. If she lies, she will pay for it." That night, a guard hid in the shadows. He followed Nnenna as she walked into the forest with her sack. He saw the graves, the bones, the grinding, the whispering, the dust poured into milk. By dawn he returned, his face pale, his voice shaking. "My king, it is true. Everything is true." Before the first cup was poured, soldiers dragged Nnenna from her shop. Her kettle boiled, her bread still warm, but she was pulled into the square as the people gathered, whispering like restless bees. Nnenna, daughter of no one, the Igwe thundered. You are accused of poisoning your people with the bones of the dead. Do you deny it? Her scarf slipped, revealing the scars of beatings from years ago. Her eyes glowed with a strange calm, and then she laughed. The sound froze every heart in the square. Deny it? She said softly. No, I will tell you everything. Her voice was steady, sharp, as she poured out her past. She spoke of her childhood as the cursed orphan. She told of how the people spat at her, beat her, cast her into the forest. She told of the witch beneath the Iroko tree who gave her the powder of graves, and she told of her return, how she gave them what they begged for. Yes, she said, her smile cold. I fed you bones. Yes, I fed you the dead. And you drank it with joy because you wanted life without labor. You wanted blessing without truth. I only gave you what you asked for. Her words ran like fire through the crowd. Mothers wept. Men trembled. Some spat. Others retched. But all stared at her with horror. The Igwe's voice thundered. Nnenna, once cursed, now cursed forever. You shall die this day. Soldiers dragged her to the edge of the square. Still, she did not beg. She did not cry. Her last words called through the silence. Remember me. Evil does not grow on its own. You planted me. You watered me with your cruelty. I am your harvest. And when it was over, the air grew heavy. The tea shop stood empty, its kettle cold, the bread uneaten. From that day, the people of Umuocha never forgot Nnenna, and whenever a cup of tea touched their lips, a shiver ran through them, for deep in their heart a whisper remained. What if death still waits inside the cup? Thank you so much for watching this story. If you enjoyed it, please like, share, and comment your thoughts below. I love reading them. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell so you never miss another powerful African story. See you in the next one.